I get rid of you, which I'm enjoying you so much today. I really am.
I'm enjoying you too.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
But a little bird told me that you said you might be resigning the job this year. Say it isn't so. Is it true?
I don't know when I'm leaving. This is an honor and a privilege, and I love working for President Biden every single day.
So today, as you all saw just an hour or so ago, President Obama announced that, President Biden. Whoa!
If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with it.
I also want to thank my buddy Kamala, who I work for up in the White House, for leading on this issue. I also want to thank my buddy Kamala, who I work for up in the White House.
So many issues here. You've mentioned a couple of them. There are many, many more. We could go down the list of his indefensible record that he's had as president. One of the things, though, is that the American people need to be able to examine these issues. What's the traditional way that we normally do that? Through a debate, right? Well, the DNC just announced we're not going to have any presidential primary debates. And so, for me as a presidential candidate back in 2020, they were rigging the system back then. They were just more subtle about it, tossing softball questions to Kamala Harris and giving people more time. But now they are so arrogant and so disrespectful to the American people and voters. They're just saying, nope, we're not going to allow any debates. We're not going to put his record in front of the American people. We're not going to give people any choice other than Joe Biden. And so my appeal to Democrats and to American voters, if people are thinking about voting for President Biden, they really need to ask themselves if they want to support a candidate that has so much disdain and disrespect for the American people.
Isn't it true that leading up to the 2020 election, Twitter had weekly meetings with not just the FBI, with DOJ, with DHS, with DNI, to conduct this unconstitutional censorship by surrogate? We know that because of the Twitter files, correct?
Correct.
Wow. And it was not just meetings, not just censorship of stories like the Hunter Biden laptop story. We also now know that the FBI paid Twitter over $3.4 million of taxpayer funds to censor these stories before the 2020 election. Is that correct?
That money was paid. Twitter confirmed that.
Isn't it true, according to the Twitter files, that there were so many FBI officials who then went to work at Twitter that created their own Slack channel and crib sheet for onboarding? The Twitter files confirm that, correct?
Correct.
This is the definition of election meddling, and it's the definition of election meddling by the FBI on behalf of Democrats, paid for by the U.S.
I try to call the balls and strikes regardless of whether or not you have an R or a D by your name. I've been accused, all of us have been, over this particular issue that we're conspiracy theorists. We're not. What we're proving to you today is showing you actual bank records, actual evidence of shell companies and businesses. There are more businesses and more Bidens involved than we knew of. You have to issue more subpoenas because every time we turn over a rock, there's more information, there's more possible corruption, there's more allegations that need to be investigated. This is what we know today. Money flowed from the Chinese Communist Party, aligned with individuals into American shell companies, and then that money was wired and transferred to Biden family members. This could be the most corrupt scheme in American politics, where a sitting vice president, where we saw members of his family, 9 members so far, there may be more, that were enriched from countries all over the world. And we're providing more information about Romania today. We know about China. We know that the president denied this during an election in 2020, continues to deny it to this day. And we want everyone held accountable if they have violated their oath of office. We shouldn't have folks that are in office that are betraying their oath of office. We shouldn't have people in office that are betraying their country. If they're paying loads of cash to their family members from adversaries of ours around the world, it's wrong, whether you have a Republican or a Democrat by your name.
This is the worst graduation of my life. This is a campaign speech. A campaign speech. You got this white man here, Howard. What is going on?
I would have given a better speech. I did give a better speech at my high school graduation. My high school graduation was a lot better than this bullshit. I'm really disappointed.
Howard, you disappointed us.
Thing in that black box. An unrelenting stream of immigration. Non-stop. nonstop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America, from then and on, will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength. My son was a major, U.S. Army. Lost him in Iraq. Service Medal, Bronze Star, like you all about country. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's a damn lie, and you know it!
We can afford to do this in terms, this is a big country. The idea we can accommodate more people in the interest of the United States, and by the way, guess what? They're the reason why, the legal as well as undocumented, are the reason why our society is functioning, the reason why our economy is growing. We don't talk about that. We stand up and act like it's a burden. It is not a burden. It's a gift.
After hearing that, you should ask yourself, he said it's a gift, and here's what's happening. You flood the border with millions and millions of immigrants. You fight, Democrats are fighting for people to vote with no ID. That way, if the popular vote sways Republican, you've got millions upon millions of loyal Democratic voters out of fear that if the Republicans win, they'll get sent back to their country. If the Democrats win, they're going to be taken care of. A gift? How is that a gift to anybody? But really listen to what it is they're saying and think.
Looking at your child, you know the needs of innocent to live, and not having the money to pay for it. Not a joke. Think about it. Think about what you'd think about at the time. Think about how you'd feel. It's wrong. It's not who we are, and we're going to fix that too.
Let me simplify this for you. This is an organized criminal enterprise.
The Gaudis.
I've done this for 30 years, okay? This is how they do it. What you've got is the hallmarks of corruption, the accounts, the LLCs, the evasion, and the money laundering. The partners come in, collect the foreign money, and then distribute it to an LLC in incremental amounts. Joe Biden is the front man. Hunter Biden is the bag man. Okay? Joe Biden goes into foreign countries lecturing them about anti-corruption, and he is representing the freest, greatest nation on earth, and is wrapping himself in the flag of the United States while his son is collecting the money at the back door. This happened in Romania, and this happened in the Ukraine. Joe Biden uses his position as a vice president of the United States to tell the Ukraine to get the prosecutor off the company where Hunter is a member and making $80,000 a month, or he's going to withhold our taxpayer money, $1 million. All right? This is an point man in energy and a point man on anti-corruption, and his son is right behind him with the bags. Now, let's talk about...
You know what happens to the president when he doesn't know the question ahead of time?
What was the last country you traveled to?
The last country I've traveled, I'm thinking what's the last one I was in. I've been to 89, I met with 89 heads of state so far. So I'm trying to think, where was the last place I was? It's hard to keep track. Yeah, you're right, Ireland. That's where it was. How'd you know that?
He was in Ireland last week. The president of the United States couldn't remember the country he was in last week.
And these Republicans, they're going to say that Joe Biden refused to sit down with them. That's a fake narrative.
What's the plan here?
He never came to the table to negotiate on the debt ceiling. That was not something that occurred. That is not something that's happening. We've been very clear. We're not negotiating around the debt ceiling.
I'm going to tell it to you straight. I'm I'm going to tell you the truth. Our darkest days are ahead of us, not behind us. And now's the time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there. Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard.
This will be the time because you really need world order, financial world order.
This alternative vision argues that ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
We are here to develop the great narrative, the story for the future. But in order to shape the future, you have first to imagine the future, you have to design the future, and then you have to execute.
Cabinet is majority people of color for the first time in history. The cabinet is majority female for the first time in history. A majority of White House senior staff identify as female. 40% of White House senior staff identify as part of the racially diverse communities. And a record 7 assistants to the president are openly LGBTQ+. So again, this is something that the president prides himself on.
President, you said at the beginning that the debt ceiling was not negotiable. Isn't that what you've just done here? And isn't that
You guys, look, we're not negotiating the debt ceiling. Here's the deal. They passed the debt ceiling, and they said they'd only do it on condition that it have all these cuts in it. I said, I'm not going to do that. You pass the debt ceiling, period. I'll negotiate with you on the cuts. What you say, what's going to happen, what the budget's going to look like. That's what we are negotiating in order to get to them deciding that they're going to go along with a new debt ceiling, meaning that it's not attached. It's something totally different attached than was attached before. So if you want to try to make it look like I made some compromise in the debt ceiling, I didn't. I made a compromise on the budget.
That's what they wanted, is you to make a compromise on the budget, and that's what you've done, even though you haven't gone as far as they wanted. Isn't that right?
Sure, yeah. Well, can you think of an alternative? The town of Rolling Stone will be back, and we'll be with you every step of the way. And what did I say? I said Rolling Fork, Rolling Stone. I got my mind going here.
He's at the Air Force Academy. He actually fell down. Well, I hope he wasn't hurt. I hope he wasn't hurt. But the whole thing is crazy. You got to be careful about that. You got to be careful about that because you don't want that. Even if you have to tiptoe down a ramp, you got to tiptoe.
All right, Joe, let's see if you can even get to the damn mark this time. Remember, like we practice, walk around, go up and say hi to the general, and then get behind the podium. Yep, up the stairs, careful, careful. You know how you are with stairs. Yeah, okay, that podium, yes. Walk forward, say hi to the general, and stop. And stop. Where are you going? Not that general. Oh my God. Joe, go back to the podium. Joe. Oh my God, this is so awkward. These poor cadets. Joe, to the podium. Could you? Yeah, thank you. Direct him to the podium, please. Come on. There you go, old man. Get up there. No, the podium, you idiot. Where are you going? Oh, God. You know, I hope something happens to you later.
A few moments later.
All right, go ahead and walk off the stage now, Joe. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What happened? Did someone push you? Invisible stairs? Where? There's nothing there.
Fuck Joe Biden. Damn right. Fucking prick. Fuck Joe Biden. Damn right. Fucking prick.
President, are you monitoring the situation?